we exist to make our communities better.
People find where they belong when they come to Two Men in a Truck.
Integrity, honesty, and fairness, that describes Two Men in a Truck.
The future holds some really good things for Two Men in a Truck.
My family started this thing. I never realized it would become this.
Way back when I was probably 13 years old, Brig had a pickup truck,
A 1966 Ford, very similar to the one that you see right here.
And they started basically hauling junk for people, brush, leaves.
But I would say the business really started when we started using an old step van that my mom had purchased for $300.
And that's the first and only real money that she ever put into Two Men in a Truck.
Brig and I were on that truck a lot at that point.
Once we got into that box van, we really started moving more furniture and less junk.
Eventually, Brig and John went away to college.
There really wasn't anybody at that point to continue the business. We were just going to let it fizzle out.
The calls kept coming in, so my mom hired 2 movers and she continued to grow the business.
My mom loved the business, so she threw herself in. She also quit her job at the state of Michigan, which was crazy. But if you ask my mom, she'll tell you it was the greatest time in her life.
The first year that she was profitable, she netted $1,000.
And she chose 10 nonprofits and it gave each one of them $100. It was actually from that we came up with the tagline, Movers Who Care.
I think it's important to give back because you want the brand to be a positive brand in other people's eyes.
I grew up giving back to the community. I remember my dad and my mom getting presents at Christmas time, and we would give them out to children in need in our neighborhood back in Ecuador.
My mom was on a panel discussion, and there was another panelist on the panel that had a pet nanny service. And she asked my mom, Mary Ellen, why don't you franchise Two Men in a Truck?
And she said, why would I franchise my business? All we do is move people.
And she said, Mary Ellen, for heaven's sakes, I babysit cats and dogs, and I franchise.
There was a lot of challenges in the early stages of franchising because we didn't really know what it was.
At the time, my mom was the Lone Ranger. She was running the entire business, and we had grown to 36 franchise locations. And she called me one day and asked if I would take over as president of the company. And she said, there's one other catch. And I said, what's that? And she said, no pay, because we have no money.
The consistency of branding is so vital in franchising.
We had some yellow trucks in our system. We had tank top uniforms in our system. And it was Melanie's job to go around and make sure everybody was working within the system.
As I sat at that desk, I thought, okay, I know we don't have money because I'm not getting paid. I absolutely don't know what I'm supposed to be doing as president. And I don't really understand franchising. Like a gift from God, we won a grant from the state of Michigan for 1 free year of consulting services. A lot of evolution took place when we got that education. Everything needs to be about the customer. Even if things go wrong, you focus on the customer.
So many times we get compliments from customers saying, oh, it feels like I was moved by a family member. That's just something we love because, like I said, we're all about the family relationships here.
I think that goes back to Mary Ellen from the very beginning, too. She realized having happy customers that told their friends and family about the service for a business with limited marketing dollars was going to be very important.
Well, moving's usually tied to a life event.
The most stressful things in this world is probably death, divorce, and moving. And moving comes hand in hand sometimes.
Anytime you're dealing with an emotional life event, more times than not, people are looking for a brand they trust.
Instead of just making that customer happy, we try and do it at a level that they will tell their friends and family, and that really helps drive the future of the Two Men in a Truck business. It drives value for our franchise partners. It drives value for the brand.
Great customer service is everything that we do, all right? Everything rotates and revolves around that.
You take care of the customer first and everything will follow.
We're a customer service company that happens to do moving. Is core, I think, to all that we do.
When our Two Men in a Truck team members are able to deliver that exceptional customer service, there's a sense of pride that goes along with that, and that pride turns into purpose. And when you're doing something that's very difficult, like moving, having that sense of purpose and pride is really important.
And this goes to our mission statement.
Continuously striving to exceed our customers' expectations and value and high standards of satisfaction.
Everything we do, we throw against the mission statement.
After all of the leadership changes at Two Men in a Truck, all the growth that we've had, we still stand behind our mission statement, our core values, our core purpose. And then our franchising just continued to boom and boom and boom.
Yeah, early 2000s, it was chaos in a good way, right? Because we were growing so fast.
We were used to double-digit growth for decades.
You don't realize what's happening while you're growing so fast until things stop growing so fast.
Basically, the housing bubble bursted and our calls stopped coming in. And the franchisees were calling, our phones stopped ringing. That's when the wheels started to fall off.
First thing you'd point to, that was the time of the recession. So, ultimately the impact on mortgages and housing and people buying and selling homes had an impact on us. But what we really learned during that time frame is really it was more internal.
And what we decided to do is, let's not look out the window in fear of this economic storm going on. Let's look in the mirror at ourselves.
I'm really amazed at what an incredible job the leadership team did at keeping us focused on the future.
We looked at ourselves and we can't control the economy, we can't control mortgages, but we can control Two Men in a Truck and what we can go focus on.
I think that has become core to what we do. We're always looking forward, we're always looking at constant improvement.
So that was a big lesson for us that we're never going to get comfortable again.
Conversations at this company don't typically start with, how are we going to go generate more revenue? What they start with is, what can we do to create a better customer experience, a better employee experience, and in many cases, a better franchisee experience? Then you figure out how do you apply the business principles to it.
We need to look at how can we grow the local moving, but what are things that are close to it that we can grow over time.
You want to grow every single year, so if you can bring new things in to help the company grow and the brand to get stronger, I think it's a great thing to have that.
We really look to our past customers, our existing customers, to say, hey, what else would you trust Two Men in a Truck for?
You have to look for ways in which you can increase your revenue so that way you can get a good return on your investment, and also that way you have enough money left to reinvest in the business and give a good employee experience and be able to provide great service.
Not everyone's just going from point A to point B. They have a lot of different aspects that they're trying to do in their life to get to where they need to be, and I feel like all the services that we have available are working out pretty well with all the needs of our customers.
They need boxes, they may have junk, they may need storage, and if we have that stuff, why not just grab it all while we're here?
We are really excited about those additional services that will eventually provide growth and have proven to provide growth for our franchise partners.
There's a lot of storms that hit us in business, right? It might be a recession of 08 and 09, and then you think of a pandemic hitting somebody that has, nobody in our lifetimes really been through something like that.
COVID has been, just a game changer.
Everybody uses the word unprecedented when referring to the pandemic.
2020, I think, is probably going to be synonymous with unprecedented.
No one ever expected we'd be running into a pandemic, and there's no playbook for how you respond to a pandemic in business.
So our biggest concern at first was keeping people safe.
The safety of our team members, of our customers, of the communities that we're in.
I think we're fortunate that safety has always been the number one concern for our system as far as moving. I mean, moving's hard work. How do you do it safely has always been important.
But also sharing those best practices across the system.
Through 300 different laboratories of, invention, we were able to come up with some really good processes.
Sharing those practices across our franchises became so important.
And I've been really impressed with the way the franchisees, the team members, home office has all been flexible and creative and adaptive adapted to the new world.
Our people, our teams, in that family feel that we've got of the ability to adapt to any situation that presents itself is the greatest asset that any company can ever have. We've seen it in the stories of franchises contributing to their communities.
Moving local medical supplies, things like that. Those, for me, really stood out.
We've gone through other challenges in the past. It's the ability to persevere through something that was out of our control. You know, nobody could control pandemic, but we could control how we're going to respond to it.
From the standpoint of home office, they're committed to our success as franchisees.
I'm a single owner, I don't have partners, so it was nice to really have that support and feel that partnership, and they really reached out in ways that allowed me to say, they're looking out for me and they've got my back.
We're a family, and no matter what hits us, we'll figure it out, right? We'll figure it out because we've got a lot of smart people, we've got a lot of people that care, and we've got perseverance behind it.
It's invaluable. That's why you join a franchise group, right? If I wanted to start my own business and figure everything out for myself, I would have. But I joined it for the power of the brand and the support of the franchise.
No matter what comes, we're going to continue to grow. We're going to continue to do the right thing for our employees, customers, and communities.
We will be able to continue to thrive through any experience that comes up.